Boom! This is Nolan Hawkeye Anthony here. Thank you so much for being here, wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. This is, of course, the Big Ten Whip Around show. I believe this would be week 7, latest Whip Around show, plus the top 25. Let me restart that. Actually, it is boom. We are live. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Nolan Hawkeye Anthony YouTube channel. I appreciate all of you for being here wherever you may be, and of course, however you may be listening. The reason why I was caught off guard there is because my earbuds were in, but they weren't plugged in, so I couldn't hear myself. And then I got, switched up, and then it all got jacked up. But we're here regardless. There was actually a ton of movement this week, not in the Big Ten, but in the top 25. The Big Ten, outside of Iowa's upset victory over Wisconsin, not a ton of craziness that occurred in the Big Ten, but there was across the country. But first, I want to discuss the Iowa Hawkeyes. I used the first portion of the Big Ten Whip Around show to talk about the Iowa Hawkeyes because, of course, this is a predominantly Iowa Hawkeye sports channel. And, of course, your boy is a massive Iowa Hawkeye fan. So, guys, pretty much where we're at is a situation where, and I'm not really surprised, because I've been saying for the last couple of weeks that Iowa is the best of the rest. And what that means is that Iowa is the best of the, tier 3, tier 2 type teams. But especially of late, they struggle to beat the elite, the really, really good ball clubs. Now, Wisconsin, I wouldn't put the rest category around them. They'd probably be an above average football team thus far this year, with the chance to be a good football team. We'll see how it shakes out. So I'm not really surprised, guys. And I've been saying that, but it's really getting tough to go hard on the lack of offense sentiment when Iowa is 6-1. And, I said it in my post-game show that on one hand, I'm very happy that Iowa is 6-1, but on the other, if I'm looking at it in my most unbiased, unfiltered manner, the offense still sucks. It's still terrible. And you can make the case that it's actually getting worse as the season goes on. I don't think an Iowa wide receiver, they may have had one. When I pull up the box score, we'll see. But it's yet another week where the wide receivers didn't have combined more than 5 catches. I don't think they had even more than 3 catches. And I said in my preview video, well, I have so many thoughts about the game here. Number one, your boy was correct. I called it. I said Iowa would win 18-13. Of course, it wasn't quite that. I would have to, that would be a 31 point total, 18 plus 13. And of course, I believe the score was 15-9 due to a safety that the Iowa Hawkeyes got. So I was a little behind as far as the total goes, but I mostly got it correct. And I'm very happy that I stuck to my guns on that pick. But the Iowa offense, guys, is atrocious. And I said in my preview video that, and I credit this to, I believe it was Blackheart Gold Pants that wrote this article. Iowa, but I have talked about it myself before reading this, but I still want to give credit where credit is due. Because sometimes, you're not willing to say something until you see at least one other person, stand up beside you and iterate the same thought. But Iowa is a big play offense. Everything that is required to have like an 80-yard drive, the between the numbers, the from the 20 to the 20, where Iowa has to put multiple plays together, stack multiple first downs, and really have some creativity. It's just not happening. Brian Ferentz is just not capable of making that happen. He used to be, but he is no longer. And Iowa basically is the only way that they score is off of big plays, outside of like the defense and special teams and things like that. And even special teams to a certain degree, I would categorize as big play. But as far as just the offense goes, the only time that they are scoring is off of a major play. And when I say big play, I mean like of 25 yards plus, maybe 20, 25 yards plus. We saw it with the LaShawn Williams touchdown run. I'll see if I can find that on Twitter and play that in the background. Hopefully I don't get copyrighted, but that's where we're at. As far as, stacking first downs, and going from the 20 to the goal line and scoring the touchdown, it's just not happening. And somehow Iowa has found a way to win games that way. Quite a lot of them. So I'm really at this point stuck between a rock and a hard place because, I know how much better, even better, Iowa could be as a program if their offense was just average. Hell, even slightly below average most of the time. I would take the Jake Christensen years, the Jake Rudock year, over what we have now. And it is even more dumbfounding to see it now, given the day and age that we are in college football. So regardless, Iowa is 6-1. The defense played absolutely lights out. They are to be commended. Phil Parker is a genius. He is a football genius. He is nearing God territory. Iowa is incredibly lucky to have him. He deserves to be, in my opinion, he should almost be paid as much as Kirk Ferentz. That's how damn good of a coach he is. Okay. I at this point, I would not be surprised if Caleb Brown transfers away from Iowa. The only way that Iowa keeps Caleb Brown is if suddenly he gets a ton more snaps, A, or B, well, there's three options. Okay. A would be the one I just said. He, from this part, from Minnesota on, he gets a ton more snaps. Okay. B is if, he's not surprised by this, that in his recruiting pitch, the Iowa coaching staff was very honest about, how he's still a young player and they want to have him come in and develop. And, it may take a year's worth of time to get him there. Okay. The third reason is if just logically he tells himself, I can't transfer a second time, especially without being able to put any tape at the college level out to other coaches. Now, there's a good chance, because of how highly rated of a high school recruit he was, that schools may be willing to take a chance on him regardless. But I just wanted to let it be known that I would not be surprised in the least if Caleb Brown decides to transfer. I wouldn't be surprised if multiple wide receivers transfer out of Iowa this year. It's just, they just don't get the football, guys. And, it's partly on them for dropping the football. I don't think it's the route running. I don't think it's the coaching. I think Kelton Copeland is a good coach. We saw him turn Brandon Smith and Amir Smith-Marset from average 3 stars to NFL caliber wide receivers. So, but like I said, regardless, guys, Iowa is 6-1, and they are absolutely in the driver's seat to play in the Big Ten championship game and win the Big Ten West. All they have to, if they can beat Minnesota, which I will have that game preview either tonight or tomorrow night. If they can beat Minnesota going into the bye week, they will be in the best shape that they have ever been in to win the Big Ten West. Anyways, guys, let's take a look around the rest of college football. Those are pretty much my thoughts, guys. I mean, there's just not really a ton more to say. Deacon Hill made some of, the two passes that he completed weren't terrible. But he was kind of, you could tell that this was his second start. He was all over the place. There's a few people who have commented to me that he is in other words, slow. I don't agree with that. He was a good enough athlete to be considered as a linebacker coming out of high school. It's just, he's not agile. And, he's not the type of quarterback that's going to be able to escape off of agility, maybe off of size, but not off of agility if a defender has a wide open shot to him. Okay. He's not going to elude that rusher. Next week, there's Penn State, Ohio State. That'll be a huge game. Rutgers, Indiana. I think that'll be a good test for Rutgers. Northwestern, Nebraska will be a good measuring stick type game. Wisconsin has another very big, important game against Illinois. If, my thought on that game is, Iowa beat Wisconsin. So I want Wisconsin to continue to win. Okay. But Iowa also has Illinois on their schedule. And if Illinois beats Wisconsin, then that really puts Iowa in the driver's seat to win the Big Ten West. So I'm kind of conflicted on who I want to win that game. I think there's pluses and minuses to both. Is it minuses or minus? Plus, there are pluses and minus to both. Minus. So those are the games next week. Michigan versus Michigan State. We'll see how that goes. Here's week 7. Michigan State almost beat Rutgers. As I've been telling you guys, Rutgers is definitely better than they've been in a long time, and they will win a bowl game. And I think Greg Schiano has them in the right direction. He knows how to win at a school in the East. It's very interesting in college football how much of it is like regional. And, I think Kirk Ferentz could win in a lot of places, but him coaching at Iowa is like the best thing for him. And it's not a surprise that he wins at Iowa. It's not a surprise that Greg Schiano wins at Rutgers. It's a very regional. Now, would Greg Schiano win as much outside of the East Coast? I don't know. So Ohio State thumped Purdue. Let's take a look at Tyrone Tracy had any stats in this game. He really didn't see the ball too much against Iowa. That's really, for every Charlie Jones that exists, there's like 3 or 4 Tyrone Tracys, and it's not as though he's not playing at all. But he's been here for 2 years now. He's not getting anywhere near the same touches as Charlie Jones. Can you imagine having even Purdue stat line as an offense in their loss to Ohio State? Look at Ohio State's stat line. They just really, really spread the ball around. It is incredible. They get everybody involved. They really do. Penn State thumped UMass. Not really a ton to say there. Today, I met a Penn State fan, grew up in the state of Pennsylvania. Oh, and actually, he went to the same high school as Kirk Ferentz. Now, of course, they didn't graduate the same time. But, you guys, I live in California, obviously. You guys would be stunned at how many, like Big Ten, like people, how many Big Ten type people I meet that have these connections. Like last year, I met a guy who was a Purdue fan who, was involved with the boosters and knew and told me that Jeff Brom was going to be leaving to go to Louisville. And, for the most part, the Purdue faithful were okay with that. And I knew that before it even happened, but before the end of the season. So, it's just interesting how you never know who you're going to meet. But so anyways, Penn State smacked UMass. Illinois beat Maryland. That's a decent victory for them. And what did I say, guys? I told you guys that Maryland was not all they were cracked up to be. I told you. I'm not saying they're bad, okay? But they just lost to a 2-4 Illinois team at the time. Now they're 3-4, okay? So vindicated yet again. I said Maryland didn't play anybody. I was not going to fall head over heels in my assessment of them. You guys will see when I put up my tiers. May as well do it now. So those were the games in the Big Ten. Here are my tiers. See if I can even find it here. Where's my... There we go. I'm a different species, believe me. Okay, that's not what I was looking for. So, I called it, guys. Not surprised at all that Maryland lost that game. Just give me a second while I pull up my tier list. So here it is, guys. As you guys can see, I had Maryland as the last team in my tier system. And I've been saying for the last couple of weeks that, that I just wasn't buying it. So I'm keeping my tier 1 list. I tell you guys it's 1A, 1B, 1C. Iowa is, of course, jumping Wisconsin. Big victory there. Dang. Microsoft Word is going crazy right now. Can't even do what I'm trying to do here. There's Iowa. I think I'm going to keep... I'm really going to keep it the same. With the one exception. Let's see here. Let's see who actually played last week. It's hard to move people when they didn't play. It's a great win for Illinois. It really is. So, I have to move them somewhere. Okay. I just have to. So I actually think that I'm going to move them to... Have they played Minnesota yet? Let's take a look. Guys, I'm as involved in the Big Ten as it gets, but even I do not remember who everybody has played. No, they haven't, but they lost to Nebraska. I was thinking about moving them past Nebraska, but I won't do that because they lost to Nebraska. Okay, perfect. So we got this sorted out. All right. So we're going to put them in front of Minnesota. I'll keep Minnesota for the time being in tier 3. Okay. And I'm very close to... You know what? I'm going to do this. They only beat a terrible Michigan State team. I mean, Michigan State, Northwestern, you can pretty much flip-flop them. They only beat them by 3 points. So I was considering moving them to tier 2, but I'm not quite ready to do that. Okay. Not quite. They'll have to move to 6-2 to get tier 2. So that is going to be it. Tier 1, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Tier 2, Iowa, Wisconsin, Maryland. Tier 3, Rutgers, Nebraska, Illinois, Minnesota. Tier 4, Purdue, Indiana, Northwestern, Michigan State. Maybe I should consider going 5 tiers. Honestly, I think, can I change it mid-season to 5 tiers? Would that be okay? No, I'm going to keep it 4 tiers for now. Maybe next year I'll do 5 tiers. But there you guys have it. And lastly, let's take a look at top 25. The top 25 was wild, guys. I mean, Vandy hung with Georgia. Georgia's had a lot of slow starts this year. And, they end up being so physically imposing and superior that they, end up winning pretty handedly. But there's been multiple times this year where I've checked the halftime score and I'm like, dang, this game is close. Wow, what is going on here? Michigan smacked Indiana. We already talked about that. Florida State smacked Syracuse. Penn State, we already talked about that. Washington with the huge victory over Oregon. Oregon's a good team still, though, guys, but huge victory over the Ducks, 36-33. Absolutely incredible. I believe Oregon missed a game-tying field goal at the end. One of the guys that I officiate with is actually going to the Oregon game next week and is a massive Oregon Ducks fan. And he was dying because they were up on Washington. And then, Washington was up, then Oregon was up, then Washington. And then, of course, I mean, it was an excellent game. Notre Dame shellacked USC. I'm not surprised by that. USC has no defense. I think of Oregon, Washington, USC, and UCLA, the 2 teams that are going to have the harder time in the Big Ten or adjusting to the Big Ten is going to be USC and UCLA, because they are so offensively focused and offensively minded. And the Big Ten is one of the best defensive conferences in the country. Plus, you have the weather, you have, that situation. USC is still going to be a good team in the Big Ten, but, I don't think it's going to be as seamless a transition as some think. Lincoln Riley and USC cannot stop anybody. Okay. They're not stopping your grandmother. Okay. I mean, it's just, their defense is horrible. Alabama squeaked by Arkansas. North Carolina with the victory over Miami. Good victory for them. Another top 25 loss. Louisville with the crazy loss to Pittsburgh. I don't believe they're ranked anymore. I'll have to check. Oregon State shellacked UCLA. And again, they cannot defend. They cannot defend. And the funny thing is, I remember reading a preseason article about the Pac-12 that the Pac-12 was actually going to be a really good conference this year in football. How about that? The final year, they're much improved in football because of coaching. They got better coaching. But in college football, it's all about coaching, guys. And they said that the issue was going to be that they were just going to end up beating up on each other. And it looks like that has been the case. Utah got by Cal. Duke beat NC State. Tennessee got by Texas A&M. Arizona beat 19th ranked Washington State for their second loss of the year. LSU smacked Auburn Kansas, another top 25 loss. They lost to Oklahoma State. And of course, Missouri beat 24th ranked Kentucky. So let's look at the rankings. That's the last thing we'll take a look at before we head out of here. Pretty much the same across the board. Oklahoma's one spot down in the coaches poll. It's just, Penn State is being punished because all of these other teams are still undefeated. I really think Penn State is a dang good football team, and I think that they're going to run the table. So this is the top 25. USC stayed in, of course. They only dropped a few spots. Notre Dame barely jumped them. They didn't even jump them in the coaches poll. How does that happen? How does Notre Dame not get over USC? I mean, I know they have 2 losses, but they also have a really tough schedule. How do you not go ahead of the team that you just beat and schmacked? Okay, it wasn't close. I could see it if the game was close, but it wasn't close. They got schmacked. USC did. UCLA still in the top 25. I don't understand that. Or, well, actually, excuse me. Didn't they win? Hold on. No, they lost. They lost. But again, top 25 matchup. Okay. So I can see that a little bit. My Air Force Falcons are ranked in front of my Hawkeyes, 22. I called it. I said on Facebook, Iowa was going to be 24th or maybe 23. So let's see. Louisville did not drop out of the top 25, even though they lost horribly to a below average Pittsburgh team. I'm stunned by that. So, but my closing thought before wrapping this up is this. The reason why Iowa did not jump higher in the polls is because the media does not respect Iowa football. And this has been the case for a long time, but it's even more so the case now that Iowa's offense is what it is. People just do not respect the way Iowa wins football games. So unless they become like 9-1, they're going to continue being in the 20 to 25 range. So, but all you can do is play who's on your schedule. As long as you win, I suppose. But I'm just telling you, like, I was not expecting Iowa to be. Normally they would, but given how the media feels about Iowa, I mean, it's always the same old. Like, if you read ESPN's power rankings, they have Iowa at 25, and it says, man, the defense gets better every year, but the offense gets worse every year. And it's like such a deflating sentence. So anyways, guys, like, comment, share, subscribe. I would really, really, really love to get to 2,000 subscribers by the end of the season. Your boy has been putting in work this year. If you guys want to donate to the channel, you guys can through Cash App, PayPal, or the donate button on the video. And last but not least, DBAP, don't be a pussy willow and facts our feelings, because your feelings still matter. Love you guys. See you guys next time. Go Hawks. Bye-bye.